So I guess having standards in reading, writing, and arithmetic is racist. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Oregon's Department of Education unanimously approving a continuation on the pause of certain academic requirements to graduate high school. You do not need to show proficiency in reading, writing, or arithmetic to graduate. So if you are 17, 18 years old, graduating high school, you're able to do that. And reading, well, it's not really a requirement. Being able to add 2 plus 2, I'm kind of exaggerating, but I'm not really exaggerating. There are plenty of graduates all over the country who cannot read. And obviously, if you're graduating high school like that, you're not prepared for the real world at all. Let's not even talk about how you're not taught some things you need to know, like about bank accounts, about student loans, about some real world practical adult things. You're not told these things in school, okay? But the basic things, the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. Hey, ABL, that's not how you spell arithmetic. I understand, but you understand what I'm talking about. Basic things you don't need. And why? Well, to ask for such requirements is racist because marginalized people, meaning students of color, the blacks, Hispanics, and recent non-English speaking as first language immigrants, it's racist against them because they shouldn't really be expected to know how to read and to count and things of that nature. This is ridiculous. Some of the most brilliant minds of this country come from so-called marginalized communities, immigrants. Steve Jobs was from Lebanon, right? So, I mean, at a certain point, we got to stop this. Isn't the CEO of Google a guy from India? This is ridiculous. It's dumb. But before I go any further into my opinion, let's check out a local news clip about what's happening over there in Oregon. If you want to see it in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
For the next 5 years, high school students in Oregon will not need to perform proficiency tests showing mastery of reading, writing, or math in order to graduate.
And by the way, this particular pause on the requirement started during the scamdemic in 2020.
And this comes as the Oregon Board of Education unanimously voted to extend a pause on the graduation requirement yesterday until 2028. They're citing inefficiency and inequity. Joelle Jones going beyond the headlines tonight to find out what this pause will mean for students.
This is a controversial decision and one that's facing a lot of pushback. While some say the decision will lower state standards and cheapen an Oregon diploma, the Oregon Department of Education tells me this policy simply didn't work and disproportionately harmed students of color.
Now let's pause right here. Okay. If I'm an employer and let's say I'm hiring me, the younger version of me, young ABL, and I come from Portland, Oregon, and he sees I have a degree and he's like, okay, black student, Oregon, automatically the thought process may be that I'm not at a very high level of performance academically because of the state that I came from in my race. But the first thing would be the state. From Oregon, black kid, they think that I'm automatically put on a pedestal because of my particular identity. So that makes it harder for me to go out there in the world and be able to obtain gainful employment.
For the next 5 years, high school students in Oregon will not be forced to take an assessment of essential skills, proving they've mastered math, reading, or writing. This comes as the Oregon Board of Education unanimously voted yesterday to extend a pause suspending the proficiency requirement in order to graduate. Designed to ensure students are prepared post-graduation, the policy was initially paused by Governor Kate Brown back in 2020 amid the pandemic.
What we found is that it simply wasn't working. We looked at several post-secondary outcomes, and there were no changes in those data pre and post implementation of this.
So, I mean, When you say it's not working, what does that really mean? Does it mean that your students are not able to measure up? And at what point was there a change? Okay, so the question, I got a couple of questions. How long was the policy in effect? And at what point did the policy become ineffective? And if the policy is new, what was the policy based on? Was it based on prior test scores, prior proficiency levels? What is the standard based on, and when was it discovered that it didn't work?
This policy, so it wasn't having the intended impact.
Dan Farley with the Oregon Department of Education tells us the pause removes the harms caused by the policy. As an ODE report submitted to the Senate Committee on Education last year found, quote, the assessment of essential skills requirement was implemented inequitably and did not ensure anticipated benefits for students in their preparation for post-secondary transition.
The report brought to light several impacts on students, primarily students of color, students with IEPs, and students.
Okay, so let's take a look right here. Here's a graph. Now, this could be considered an IQ chart. This is crazy, but let's check it out. It says Oregon's official 4-year graduation rates by race, ethnicity, source, the Oregon Department of Education. So Asian, of course, they're going to perform the best out of everybody. Whites, blacks, whatever. And it's not even close. White and Native American, everybody else, they're kind of bunched together. But after Asian, you have white, and then multiracial, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, below that, and then below that, Hispanic, Latino, below that, African American, and below that, Indian, Native. And once you look at 2020, 2021, really 2020, there's a sharp tightening between white, multiracial, between white, multiracial, Native, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Latino, and black is like really joined together. But afterward, they all kind of fall down at the same rate. So I think there's some manipulation going on there, in my humble opinion.
Students for English learners who, because of the requirement, were being excluded from learning opportunities at the high school level because they were working on trying to pass a test.
But the pause continues to see pushback from community members who claim the decision could lower education standards in the state, with former governor candidate Christine Drazan launching a campaign and garnering more than 1,400 public comments in opposition.
Now, I think Christine Drazan is a Republican, just to be clear. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments.
Stating in part today, quote, it's disappointing that these unelected bureaucrats decided to ignore public comment and continue down a path that neglects their responsibility to help students meet high standards. Still, state education leaders say despite the decision, most of Oregon's graduation requirements remain in place and are still as challenging as any other state.
Our state assessments are still in place. Families and parents for students who take our grade 11 assessments are getting the same information that they ever got from their schools. All we have eliminated is a specific and inappropriate use of that assessment that wasn't doing what it was designed to do.
So, I mean, the assessment, the rules that were in place were there somewhere you couldn't graduate high school if you could not pass certain tests. If you were not proficient in reading, writing, and arithmetic, you could not graduate high school. But now that's gone. You can graduate high school without being proficient in reading, writing, and arithmetic, and at least until the pause is over. They said 2028, but I read 2029. It doesn't really matter.
I did reach out to those opposing this decision, including Christine Drazan and others, for an interview, but did not immediately hear back. We're told that this pause will be extended through the 2027-2028 school year. Reporting in Portland, I'm Joelle Jones, KOIN 6 News.
All right, so there we have it. That's what's going on. So if you're living in Oregon, there's no need to perform well on the test to graduate. If you can't really read very well, oh well, it is what it is. Now, as I close, I want to say this. This is what academia has become 2023, 2024 going into. And I think part of it can be blamed on the scamdemic, but part of it can be blamed on low expectations. There's a few things going on, but I think maybe there was a mistake made with the scamdemic. a lot of students miss development. And as a result, you have lower test scores. So rather than just admitting that and owning up to it, they're just kind of giving up and saying, well, we can't do anything about it. We lost that time. So, hey, if you can't read and you were affected by the scamdemic, then, hey, man, we'll still graduate you. Don't even worry about it. We'll still graduate you. That's what's happening right now, in my humble opinion. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on these standards being paused, eliminated, whatever the case may be? Should they be paused? Is it really a big deal? Does it really matter if you're not proficient in reading? Should that matter to graduate high school? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. K through 12 education, public school has become a mess. We didn't even address drag queen story time and all that nonsense. You saw the guy that was talking, that was, being interviewed with the he, him, all of that. See, that's what's going on in K through 12 public school. But then on top of that, they're more focused on the LGBT and the propaganda and less focused on the basics, the 3 R's, as I said from the beginning: reading, writing, arithmetic. Those things are taking the back seat while all the propaganda and nonsense is taking front row and center seat in front of the congregation. Really unfortunate. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.